Thank you. It's very appropriate that I'm here today because when we launched Lead Your Way, one of the first people I went to meet was Ileana. And I said, hey, I've got this idea to do this company. I'm appalled by the quality of leadership development and the definition of leadership in America. And I'd really like to do something to change it. And I said, why not in Delaware? And that was 10 years ago. So it's exciting for us to be here. We have a consulting company that focuses on helping organizations and leaders grow through creating new possibilities, increasing their capabilities, and increasing their level of confidence to try for their next measurable and meaningful step. And so for us, at Lead Your Way, we believe over the last 10 years, we've found some recipes to successes in businesses and in personal leadership development. Just real quickly, how many alumni of Lead Your Way programs are here? I see a bunch of you guys. Can you raise your hand high and proud so people can see? Good. So I have a lot of testimonials in this room right here. So for us, we've looked out and said, we know that there's some recipes that seem to be repeater patterns in personal development and leadership development and in organizational development. And over the years, we've found the same sort of problems as we've done executive coaching or leadership team alignment, and we've seen the same sort of opportunities as the cycles or the steps to growth emerge. So we've tried to capture these in recipes. And the more we try to capture them in a recipe, the more we realize that your unique recipe is what makes you different. And that for all entrepreneurs, what makes magic is what's important to them and what they can capture for themselves. And then as they try to scale their business, they start focusing on this idea of culture. So for us, we spent the last couple of years trying to become culture experts. Everybody needs a team to grow, and we wanted to figure out how we could help people build that foundation as solidly as possible from the beginning. So as we're talking about building your balance sheets and building your legal structures and building your partnership structures, we want you to create a culture that can be expandable, that when you bring that next best person in the door, they can be as good as you need them to be. So for us, as we started to look at it more and more, we realized that just like all these matching services out there in the world, that people will do things to get a job. They'll say things to get a job, just like us as business owners, we'll tell them things to get a job. And what happens is, the further you're away from that authentic moment in that conversation, the more likely you're going to have a problem down the road. So as we're up here in your business and you're trying to find the right team for you, there's people who want to get in the tank with you. They may or may not be the solution for you, but in that moment, everybody wants to see. Let's try it out. And try it out is the basis for a good culture. It's not the basis for a great culture. So as we've gone along, we've seen the problems emerge over and over and over in organizations and in leadership teams, is that you don't have the right fit, or you don't have the fit you thought you had when you became engaged with this person. So the relationships become very transactional. You give me something, I'll give you something. And all of our problems are based on finding this balance, getting them to buy in. So our goal was to try to come up with a solution set that allowed entrepreneurs or business owners or team leaders or mergers and acquisition people an ability to assess, are you a good fit for me? So if you think of Match.com or eHarmony, we've tried to put a system together that said, business owner, what do you need later? What are you going to want later? Who's the perfect person to win what you want to win? And what kind of characteristics do you need? And let's quantify those now. So we've taken those idea of cultures and said, everybody has a culture, or you're going to have a culture. You actually do. You just don't honor it yet. So, but when you start to scale, you're going to need to identify that culture, not only where you are, but where you want to be. And if you want to grow that culture and nurture the team from the beginning, you have to set up a criteria that makes sense for you. So our tools that we've created look out and say, there's no great, perfect culture. There's your culture that's right for you. It's right for your challenge. It's right for your personality. It's right for your leadership team. That's right for your market. You have to be able to identify the important pieces that you can give to other people to make them part of that. You don't want to buy them in. You want them to throw in. You want them to be with you, heart, mind, and spirit. That's the difference between a team and a team that's related in a great culture. So we've created a suite of tools that allow you to both identify through a methodology what that culture is today, what you need it to be tomorrow, and why it's different and why it's going to be sustainable. And then we've put these tools in a cloud-based environment so that you can create this assessment over and over for you or for your teammates. Right now, we're right in the final stages of our first pilots with local businesses, and we hope to be able to scale through our technology and our cloud-based advancements within the next 60 days. So that's our, and we found multiple uses from the baseline that allow you to create a path to your next success. Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to have about 20 minutes for some Q&A, Mike, so if you don't mind. One of the things, if you have a question, please let us know, and myself or Tricia will come around with a mic, and just make sure you're speaking to the mic, please, because it's being recorded. So if there are any questions?
I remember when I worked for HR for a small company, and they said that the sweet spot was 150 or more employees for getting an HR manager. Is there a sweet spot for the size of the business that you were looking to work with?
For us, no. From a sweet spot, I think it's important that each business is going through steps, and that you want to be able to, the further back that you can engage what's special, first, because we do leadership development, and we'll say over and over, if the problem you're trying to solve as an entrepreneur is meaningful to you and fulfilling to you, you're going to spend enough time on it to create a competitive advantage. So the further back that idea of culture goes in your thinking, that's where we'd like to play if it makes sense. So we don't really have a sweet spot, but we know when the problems start to emerge is when you're right at that place where you need to grow. And in that, we say the leader has to grow before the team can grow. And if this idea of culture needs to take seed, it needs to take seed before you start bringing people into it. So there is some time beforehand that you need to figure things out before you start bringing people in. Otherwise, it dilutes it. It confuses it. And everybody wants to be on a great team. Nobody wants to come into a team that's kind of confused and all over the place.
Could you elaborate more on what it's like? Is it like a survey instrument that a potential hire would take?
Yes.
And then it would determine the match?
So yes. So we have a suite of products, and we call this what Ileana just described the hiring product. So if I look out and said, here are the characteristics that I'm looking for in my next team member for this position, we'd go to and create a methodology to make sure you know what that is, and then we'd go to you as the owner or the hiring manager and say, fill these out, and it's priority based. So we're looking out and saying, if Ileana looks at me and she says the most important thing for this person to be next is flexible in the schedule, we'll give you 7 choices, and if she says flexibility is the most important, and I say flexibility is the least important for me, we're not going to be a good match. So the idea is that we're trying to find priorities that match with you and the organization. And so the organization takes an assessment, a customized assessment, and then anybody that you want to match with takes a customized assessment as well, and then we algorithm the match in between.
Any other questions? Any other questions, Mike?
Mike, how are you anticipating scaling this? And do you want to take it nationally, or is it you looking at the local business? And how do you promote it?
Promoting it, let me answer that last. The scaling part of it, we've tried from the beginning to make it a cloud-based assessment tool that we can utilize globally, if possible. So that because we're not saying there's one way, we're saying your way, if it matches your way, is right. So as long as we can identify your way and we can create an assessment, a baseline on one side, then we create the portal assessment in between, and we give you the results on the other side. So our scalable question is, is to be able to put our methodologies and our assessments online. So in our large play, that's what we're thinking. And then from a marketing standpoint, geez, we hope it works. And then if it works, then we're hoping to get some testimonials. So far, we've piloted in 4 businesses that are, you guys would know the names of some of these, and it's working. And as the reporting becomes more sophisticated and usable, dashboardy, visual, more impactful, we start to build up some analytics about it. We think it's just filled with common sense. Yes,
To
ma'am.
what extent do you consult with people who purchase your product? I mean, are you there with them throughout the, for how long are you sticking with them to make sure it's working?
So we have a suite of methodologies or seminars. We do one-shot seminars. We do long-term training programs. We put curriculum in for companies as they're growing. We'll work with a leadership team. We'll work with an alignment team. We'll work on through a special project. So we're a consulting firm that has methodologies and tools, technology tools to back up our consulting practice.
Yeah, I think you probably answered the question. Wanted you to elaborate a little bit on the test projects or the pilot projects that are currently ongoing. What sort of outcomes you're looking for?
And I'll have one more question.
Okay, so for us, we took our trusted clients and we went out and said, hey, we've done some good things in the past for you. We may mess this up, but we think it's going to work. Would you work with us? And we'll kind of figure this out together. Because we knew the methodology was right, we knew the technology existed. We weren't sure the real kind of the sell to us was being able to get you accurate, usable information, meaningful information in a timely manner. So we wanted and we didn't want to have to keep going through long assessments that were dated by the time you got the information out. So we had to figure out how to create a quick assessment on the employer side and be able to put it in the employee's hands as quickly as possible, and then get a report literally that day. So that's been we've had great partners because they've been clients before, and our challenge has been and continues to be, but we're kind of getting to the first part of the hill, is to get a reporting that makes sense in a customized manner that's fast enough that they can use. Literally, if you want to know how your company feels that day, you can put something out. So, we're expanding the suite as well.
A lot of that's online.
It'll all be online when we get through the beta stage.
We have time for one more question.
Mike, if we agree that the culture is derived highly or greatly from leadership, and maybe this is a little, we've got to find this out. Have you thought much about, or how does succession planning fit into this? And when you got to change the top, what's that do to the culture, and how are you going to handle that?
So, great question, Chris. So for us, this tool is designed for you to evolve. So if you have a leadership change, if you want to meld 2 companies together, if you want to create the new, so that the idea with your culture, we ask all the leaders to go through and answer 32 key questions. I sound like the guy on eHarmony. 32 key questions that are going to tell you if you know what a culture is and what's important to you. So once you've done that, and mine are going to be different than Chris's, that are going to be different to yours, Chris. So, and that's what's important. So as long as Chris has his and he says, this is where we go, and board of directors, does this make sense? And leadership team, where you align, and I look at the industry and say, yeah, I think this is going to make a competitive advantage for our culture that's going to reach our objectives. Now you can restart. So it's also, when you're with your leadership team conversations, you can recheck in. Hey, this is where we said we were going to be and what was important. Is it still valid? Because the questions are dynamic. The system is dynamic. So you can plug and play questions at your leisure and put it back out whenever you want. So our hope is that when there's a new leadership team, they check in. And they're able to say, and they take the mystery out of this idea of kind of misty culture or chemistry or what teamwork means. We want to be able to clarify that says, this is what's important to me and here's why. This is what I need from you. Are you okay with that?
And the last question is, what can we do as a community to help you?
For Lead Your Way, the most important thing for us to do, and we always pitch this, is we believe in expanding the conversation about leadership and inviting more people into possibilities, capability, and confidence about their own personal leadership and their organizational leadership. So, one, to say it's possible, that's our message. It's possible. Takes a lot of work, but it's possible, and that to help people with the work part and the possibility part. If you look at our products, our services, we love customers, we love to help, all the stuff you guys want, right? So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great job.